Hello everyone, this is Arkady from JoyT5. Today we're going to do a quick video about what to take a look at when you pick a used excavator. To help with that, we invited Donovan, a professional equipment operator with over 15 years of experience, and he'll let us know what he looks at when he's inspecting a machine.
Hi there. All right, so we'll start at one end and work to the other on some common areas that would be good to look at if you're looking for a used piece of equipment. Starting here, your wrist pins. Now these are pins and bushings. You want to make sure that you see grease on the nipples and grease coming through in the areas that rotate. Moving down to your hydraulic quick connect. Check for wear here and check for wear here. This will allow the bucket pins to slap, and you may have to have a welder come in and fix that if you choose to purchase the machine. Also, the pins and bushings for the hydraulic quick attach, make sure they are nice and tight and greased as well. Grease is huge. After you've checked out the hydraulic quick attach and all its associated parts, come on down to the bucket and take a look at the pins for this system in particular. Make sure they're not worn, chipped, cracked, or anything like that. Do keep in mind you probably will be replacing these. So with the machine laid out here where we can get to all of the points, go ahead and inspect your cylinders on both your thumb and the top of the stick, your pins for grease and grease coming through, make sure. All your hoses as well, fittings, give them a little turn with a wrench, never hurt anyone. As well as these main pins here, make sure they're getting greased. That's a costly one. Moving on to the boom. With the boom here at, again, inspection height, check your pins, check your cylinders. Look for scratches, dents, bent steel lines. Check your fittings, make sure they're nice and tight. Check your auxiliary lines, make sure they're nice and tight and in place, and look for any rusting or dents and scrapes in them. Going more towards the machine here, same thing on your lift cylinder. Pins, make sure they're greased. Inspect here, this nice area. Make sure it's clear of any deficiencies. Down to your lower pin here, same thing, make sure it's greased and make sure there's no deficiencies. As well as your boom pin. Going around hoses, kind of get the idea. All right, so we'll drop down to the blade area here first before we carry on. Same thing, check your pins, check for clearance and tolerance, check for grease. Cylinders, same thing on your pivot cylinder as well as your lift cylinder. Make sure this area is free of scars, deficiencies, debris, anything. That will take out a seal and that will cost you money in downtime. Not good. Coming up from the blade here, we're going to carry on down the side of the machine. Open up your service covers, inspect your battery, make sure that your terminals are in good condition and that they're tight. As well as any sight gauges, make sure your plastic is clear and you can see through them. Furthermore, don't be afraid to take panels off. Bring a wrench and socket set, inspect things in hidden areas. Make sure you know what you're getting into as you purchase the machine. Before we get to the rear of the machine here, check your hydraulic fluid level and condition. Now the colors on this do vary and it may be hard to see. Double check and make sure. Also look for documentation on when it was last serviced and what fluid it was changed with. You really want to see that the manufacturer's recommended fluid was used. Carrying on around the back here, we'll take a quick pause. The radiator and the air conditioning condenser core, you want to make sure that these are in good shape, free of dust, no rust, no leaks, no bent fins, etc. Coming around the back side, check your oil. Make sure that's up to level and looking good. The other thing you want to check is your coolant condition. Pop the cap, make sure it doesn't look like chocolate milk. You don't want chocolate milk in there. Pull your air filter, inspect that, see if there's a date or an hour reading on when that was last changed. You want to make sure that these machines have been serviced. So getting down beneath the machine here, you're going to want to peel these covers off. Check your walking motors. Again, check the hoses, check condition. You want to make sure the fittings are tight and there's no signs of leaks. That way you can ensure that you have long life out of that component. So continuing on the lower portion of the machine on the undercarriage, check your drive sprockets. Make sure they're not sharp and pointed. It's a good indicator that they need to be replaced. They also will form cracks from the bolt to this wear area. As well as your track pads, make sure they're nice and tight and that the wear on the track chain itself is not excessive per the manufacturer's specifications. Moving up, you have your idler roller, as well as your rollers underneath. Take the machine for a walk with a friend. Have those, make sure they are checked and have them inspected if you're unsure. The idler wheel, when you pick the machine up and check the tension of the tracks, it'll become very apparent if this is in spec or not. All right, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to get in the machine, we're going to start it, we're going to go for a little bit of a walk. We're going to check for any wandering in the tracks, as well as this gives us a good chance to check if there's any wobble in the blade. So let's crank her up and let's go for a bit of a walk. Watching those tracks turn, looking for any wobble. These ones being a new machine, they are nice and tight, nice and straight, they track nicely. And there doesn't appear to be too much bounce, if any, in that blade, which is good news. Another thing you can do while you're walking the machine is use that time to check for the slap in the boom and the pivot area. Alright, so as you can see, this machine, even being brand new, does have a bit of slop in the wrist pins. That's to be expected. Some machines have a little bit. What you're looking for is excessive slop and slap. That shows that a lack of maintenance and it's time for line boring and honing on the wrist area. Alright, down here on the ring gear, one thing you want to look for, of course, again, is greasing. But here it's a little different. You're looking for over-greasing. And what it'll end up looking like is blobs coming down between the bolts or the bolts covered in grease. This is a very expensive fix and very apparent. For this, you refer to the manufacturer's recommended grease intervals only. Do not deviate from those. Back to the business end of the machine here. You want to check your guide edges and replaceable teeth. Make sure that all your keepers are in place and that they're not completely worn out to the frogs. Check welds, things like that. These all, of course, being brand new, look great. Ready to go to work. All right, so here you see pin again, nice grease fitting, area for the grease to come in. That's what you want to see when you're replacing a pin. Make sure it's serviceable and greasable. This clean out bucket here was built to spec without a replaceable cutting edge. I would highly recommend a replaceable cutting edge. A bucket like this could be modified to accept one if that does come with the machine you're looking at. Well, that wraps it up for this quick walk around of this machine and some things to look at that I've come across in my years, as well as some industry standard things. One of the things that we cannot stress enough, though, is if you are going to look at a used machine, please get a licensed mechanic to look at that machine with you and use that information to go forward with your purchase or not. Don't be afraid to back out.
Once you've found the used machine that you like, we encourage you to give us a call to check out JoyT5 machines that we have available, just to get you a comparison of what you'd be looking at a used machine where potentially might need to do some work versus a brand new JoyT5. Donovan, I'd like to thank you for coming out. Thank you so much for your wisdom, for taking the time and getting us this educational content.
Not a problem, sir. I appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to seeing more of these machines out there.
Thank you, for sure. Thanks, Donovan. And for you guys, if you're going to have any questions about JoyT5 machines, please visit JoyT5.com or give a call to one of our dealers. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day.